Do it. I'm about to crash out.
First off, let's talk about Carlos's parenting style. In season 2, we meet Carlos, who is a doctor and a single dad to Sarah, who is a teenager that is not ready for the apocalypse. Carlos's whole idea is literally shielding Sarah from the harsh realities of the world instead of telling her the truth. He always keeps her in the house and always keeps her isolated, literally like telling her that the walkers are quote unquote people who are just sick, and insists that she's not ready to handle the tough truths. Now I get it. Protecting your kid is a natural instinct. I get it. I understand. But in a world where zombies are chopping at your doorstep, ignorance isn't bliss. It's a death sentence. Carlos's overprotective nature, it doesn't come from a place of controlling. It comes from a place of love. Sure, that's understandable, but it's also misguided because he doesn't teach Sarah practical skills like how to use a weapon, make quick decisions, or even recognize danger. She just cried like a little bitch. For example, in season 1, in episode 1, when Clementine, a kid half her goddamn age, literally handles a gun to protect the group. Meanwhile, Sarah, she just in the fucking cabin just taking fucking selfies with a Polaroid. Carlos's refusal to prepare her leaves her depending on others, which is the last thing you want in an apocalypse. So what happens when you raise a kid to be clueless in a zombie apocalypse? Well, you get Sarah. Now don't get me wrong, Sarah's not a bad character. You know, she's sweet, she's curious, and she comes from a good place with a good heart. But she's painfully unprepared. In episode 2, when the group literally gets attacked at the lodge, Sarah freezes during a critical moment, unable to process the chaos. Carlos is still barking orders to keep her safe instead of trusting her to act. This lack of agency makes her a liability, not because she's incapable, but because Carlos never gave her a chance to freaking learn. Like, you literally have a choice to either smack Sarah and knock some sense into her and make her behind get up, or you just leave her to die. And it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what choice you make at the end of the day, because either way she still dies, whether you wake her up and snap her out of it, or you just choose to let her die either way, because either way, later on, she's going to die. Compare this to Clementine, who was mentored by Lee in season 1. Lee literally taught her how to shoot, to stay calm, and to make hard calls, and keep her hair short, just in case if a walker ended up grabbing her long ass hair. By season 2, Clem literally was a badass, making life or death decisions at just 11 years old. Meanwhile, Carlos just sheltered Sarah. To be honest, Carlos could have taken notes from Lee, but instead he just doubles down on sheltering Sarah, which sets her up for failure when the group eventually faces danger. Now let's talk about the turning point, aka Carlos' death in episode 3. This man was killed during the escape from Carver's camp. Meanwhile, after that, Sarah was just gone, and it's heartbreaking, but it also highlights how Carlos's parenting failed her long term, because without him, Sarah literally has no foundation to fall back on. She literally spirals into panic and grief, unable to cope with the reality she was never taught in the first place. Now in episode 4, her inability to process danger leads to her tragic death, whether it's at the observation deck or the trailer park, depending on your choice. It don't matter, she dies either way. Carlos's absence reveals the biggest flaw in his approach. He did not prepare Sarah to survive without him. A good parent in the apocalypse doesn't just protect their kid, they empower them to stand on their own. By shielding Sarah from reality, Carlos literally ensured that she'd be lost in a moment if he wasn't there to guide her. It's not just that he died, it's that he left nothing for her with no tools to keep going. So how could Carlos have done better? First, he needed a balanced protection with preparation. Literally teach Sarah to use a knife or a gun, even if it's just the basic of it. It don't need to be advanced shit on some Resident Evil type shit. You don't need to be none of that. Just learn her the fucking basics and let her observe the group decisions so she could understand survival tactics, and most importantly, be honest about the world. Sarah wasn't too fragile to handle the truth. She was fragile because Carlos hid it from her. Look at Clem. She literally faced horrors head on and came out stronger. Meanwhile, Sarah could have been like that too if Carlos had trusted her potential. In the end, Carlos's failure as a parent isn't about a lack of love. It's about a lack of foresight. Because in the apocalypse, shielding your children from danger without teaching them to face it is setting them up to fail. Sarah's tragic fate is a direct result of Carlos's choices, and it's gut-wrenching for people who wanted to see her grow, because Sarah, she could actually have been an actual badass character next to Clementine. But no! That nigga Carlos said, I'm a hater. I don't want to see my daughter win. She can die with me. But anyway, that's it.